Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the supernatural, the unexplained, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we are returning to the Outback. Hello, hello, and welcome everybody. Welcome to Cryptic Corner. We record this show every Saturday morning, starting at, generally right around 8:45 Mountain Time, which is going to be 9:45 Central and 10:45 Eastern and 7:45 Pacific. I give Mountain Time first because that's where I am now. But I digress. We record this and you can come in and participate and be part of this lovely live chat this way. This lovely live chat over here. And we can and you can take part and participate. I'm gonna close these blinds because it's a little bright. Oh, there we go. That's better. My vampire self was starting to burn. You can participate and contribute to the show if you come on Saturday mornings. But regardless, we do a premiere of it on Friday nights, and I try to make it if I'm not working. Sometimes I'm working or busy with life stuff on Friday nights. But most of the time I try to make it. And we watch Cryptic Corner again, or generally for a new audience, because maybe there's really not a lot of overlap between the early morning crew and the late evening crew. But I digress. I put a version of it out for everybody. Today, on our poll, we finally got to return to the Outback, to exploring thylacine and thylacoleo sightings in Australia, and there's no better place on the internet to go to get that sort of vibe than to Tantanoola tigers, because Jamie is the most enthusiastic about this topic that I have found, and it's sad to see that they haven't even hit 500 yet. So what I've done, because I like Jamie, is put the link in the description down there. And Jamie has a new video. So what I want you all to do is to go subscribe to Jamie's channel. Just hit the subscribe button, right? And then I want you to put this 13-hour ago video on your watch list, because it's not going to be covered today on today's show. If you want the newest content, you got to watch it on Jamie's channel. But go ahead and pop on over there, and you will and let him know that yeah, we're trying to help him get to 500. Appreciate his work, because it's kind of get discouraging when you get stuck under at a number like that for so long. But today, we're not looking at the Tantanoola tiger, though. We're looking at the Queensland tiger sightings, which the Queensland tiger is a very specific beast. It's more like a thylacoleo than it is like a thylacine in most of the sightings, or a giant quoll even. But as you can see from this list of dates on the Cryptid Wiki, there are a lot of sightings of this animal, dating back to the 1860s all the way up to the 2010s. So, a lot of ideas about what it could be: mistaken identity, marsupial lion, a novel dasiurid, a thylacine. There's a lot of speculation, but there's also a lot of video to trudge through. So in order to make this concise, we got it's about 10 videos here from Tantanoola tiger about some of the different more prominent sightings that we're going to listen to and kind of break down. So hope you're along for the ride.
G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tantanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper
Hi, Jamie.
report about a thylacine or thylacoleo sighting near Cardwell, North Queensland in 1871. So we'll get into it. This was published in the Brisbane Courier on Tuesday, the 17th of October, 1871, titled A Surveyor's Diary. The following extracts from a surveyor's diary kept during a trip from Cardwell to the rivers Mackay.
What's this Dave Con and Dave Enthusiast? There are lots of Daves out there. That's true. These are the Daves. I was starting to feel less delusional this morning. Then I remembered I'm delusional. Well, I get told I'm delusional too. So, welcome to the club. We're in good company.
And Murray, North Queensland, describing the nature of the soil and the natural features of the country traversed, may not be without interest. September 26th, 1871. Shifted camp lower down the river and were disturbed in the night by the alligators bellowing and a native tiger roaring close to our camp. The tiger came within 100 yards of our tent, but we could not get a shot at him owing to the...
So they're probably crocodiles, not alligators, unless somebody brought some alligators with them and released them. But I don't think so, not in the 1870s. Because I don't think alligators would compete very efficiently against crocodiles in this environment. And I mean, they might. I don't know if invasive alligators could get a foothold in Australia. It doesn't seem like they would be very successful, so I'm assuming that the alligators are crocodiles. In which case, the tiger could be what any kind of cat, I guess, if they're going to call a crocodile an alligator. But I would think in the 1870s it was a thylacine. But we'll see what they say.
Darkness and the scrub. I believe it is not generally known that there is such a thing as a native tiger in Queensland, but it is nevertheless a fact. September 27th and 28th, 1871. Working down the river, scrubs very dense and swamps deep and lined with cutting rushes from 9 to 10 feet high. Where the country is dry, which is very rarely the case, on this south bank the soil is poorly and sandy. On the north side, from the bluff upwards, the country is far better, being dry and open, lightly timbered and well grassed. Saw the tracks of the tiger.
So, I mean, I guess I'm waiting for the description to see what how we are differentiating it from a thylacine, because I think because thylacines had the stripes right on their hindquarters. So I'm curious to hear if they're seeing just something with stripes and saying, nope, that's a tiger because it's got stripes. Because I mean, these are people in the late 19th century. They're not naturalists or anything. They're just regular people. A striped large carnivore or carnivorous animal is a tiger.
And measured them 4 inches long by 4.5 inches wide, so that there is no doubt about the existence of a very large animal of the cat tribe in these scrubs. The end. Well, this is really interesting. I totally believe this guy is a surveyor. So he's taking these official notes for the government.
So I mean, if there is a big cat on the loose in Eastern Australia, it's a invasive or a released animal. It's not a native animal.
Stuff like that. And then he said they moved their camp and the alligators were bellowing, but then they said he heard a native tiger roaring close to the camp, and they said it came within 100 yards of the tent, but they could not get a shot at him because of the dark and the scrub. So obviously they could see something moving about, or at least hear it moving around. And then the next day or the day after that, he saw the tracks of the tiger and he measured them, and they were 4 inches long by 4.5 inches wide, which is that's pretty big. I'd love to know whether they're seeing thylacoleos or thylacines. And I wish he had said with the tracks whether there was 4 toes or 5 visible toes. That would have made a big difference. And I'm pretty sure this is the first account.
Exactly. Whether it was digigrade or plantigrade would make a difference. whether the left claw marks or not in the with the tracks would make a difference. A lot of things about the tracks can tell us what species we're looking at.
Count of a thylacine or thylacoleo in Queensland. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye. G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome.
G'day, it's Jamie. Hi, Jamie. I'm gonna go on to Australia and find Jamie. No, not really. That'd be creepy. That's like the guy that, like, last night we watched the Chupacabra video on CrypticCorner, and it was those guys hunting down that scientist. And I'm like, don't do that to me. So yeah, don't allow anybody to hunt me down. No one needs to know where I am.
The Tantanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper report about thylacoleo or thylacine shootings at Cardwell, North Queensland in the early 1900s. So we'll get into it. This was published in Sydney's The Land on Friday, the 11th of February 1938, titled, "In North Queensland Jungle Lurks Mysterious Animal That May Be Worth Its Weight in Gold."
I'm gonna turn my space heater on. I'm gonna let Jamie keep going.
Within recent years, there has been so much extensive exploration work done that today very few parts of the world remain unknown to man. As one famous scientist has said, the surface of the globe now offers little scope to the modern adventurer. Despite this, however, there are still a number of animals roaming the little-known parts of the world that have not been yet
Crikey is right, Jason. Crikey indeed.
Introduced to science. And although not generally realised, one of the strangest of these uncaptured animals is known to exist in the far northern wilds of this continent, in the jungle country of northern Queensland. This is the mysterious marsupial.
Yes, do not allow the people in the chicken suits to hunt me down. That's just rude.
Tiger.
Yes.
An elusive creature which has been rarely seen and has never been captured alive, while only a few have been shot over the last 30 years. Fruitless search. The first stories concerning the presence of this strange animal came out of the north over 30 years ago, and since then innumerable scientists and museum collectors from all parts of the
quite fruitless
world have penetrated the northern wilds in search of the mystery animal, without finding any trace of it. One of the most elaborate expeditions to search for the tiger.
Yeah, I say the Amazon still has a lot of, so does the Congo. At this point, the Congo had, in the 1870s, the Congo had lots of blank area for a long, long time. Throughout the 19th century, Central Africa was blank, and the Amazon was blank. I mean, the Australian outback was pretty blank too, but
was organised some years ago by that famous explorer Sir Hubert Wilkins. But although the expedition combed a large area of jungle, no trace of the animal was found. Now a woman is searching for the strange creature. This is the noted German scientist Miss G. Newhauser, who is visiting Australia to
that's a cool last name, Newhauser.
Collect rare animals and birds for the New York Museum.
Mm-hmm.
She is at present working in the far north, where she is making every endeavour to obtain a specimen of the little-known tiger. Worth a fortune. A small fortune awaits the person who is successful in capturing the first live specimen of the rare animal, for there are many museums throughout the world that...
So, I got a question, like, how does a Australian or Eastern Australian person tell the difference when someone's talking about a tiger, like a cat, or the taiga, like where Siberian tigers live, right? Like a tiger from the tiger from the tiger.
That would willingly pay thousands of pounds for such a find. As much as £5,000 and £10,000 has been paid in the past for rare animals by overseas museums. but the value of a marsupial tiger would undoubtedly be much greater. This tiger is one of the very few opportunities.
Oh, when did you hear that, native atheist? A new funnel web spider, huh? Did they find a new? Did they find a new species, or did they do some genetic testing and decide to divide the existing species into smaller groups? A lot of times, like this, what happened with the anaconda. Like, oh, they found a new biggest anaconda. No, they didn't find like a new species. What they did was they did some genetic testing on the anaconda species or the anaconda populations they have, and they're genetically distinct enough to be divided into two different species. And the one that was named as a new species is also the one with the largest individuals. So therefore, it's now the largest species, the heaviest species of snake, is a new species of anaconda, but it existed as a species of anaconda before that too, if that makes sense.
Remaining for enterprising collectors to bring in a rare animal, which, as one scientist has said, would be worth its weight in gold. Bushmen have seen it. What type of animal is this mysterious tiger? There are many well-known bushmen in the north who have seen the animal and described it. It is said to be considerably larger than the common native house cat, and is of a yellowish or fawn colour striped like a tiger.
See, that makes me think it's a thylacine too, saying it's larger than a house cat, because if it was a tiger, if it was a Thylacoleo, people would describe it as a lot bigger than a house cat. They would describe it as bigger than a dog, or maybe as big as a hog, or as big as a calf. A lot of times is what they'll say.
Is also said to be as fierce as a young tiger, while Aborigines of northern Queensland wilds have told me that it is one of the most dangerous animals in the north, crocodiles included. When seeking prey, the tiger climbs a tree overhanging an animal track and springs down on the first...
Well, no, it's not. No, Amber, stop it. There's no giant anaconda, or Anaconda gigantea. That's the way that the sorry, my microphone keeps bending down for some reason. Fix it like that. Is that better? Anyway, the media spun it that way. Oh, a new species of giant anaconda. So frustrating. I think you're just teasing me though. Titanoboa is closely related to the anaconda. Like the boids are the closest the modern boids are the closest relatives to it. So yeah.
A suitable victim that passes underneath. The natives have told me that the tiger is capable of killing a large kangaroo. The natives down climbs a tree. When seeking prey, the tiger climbs a tree overhanging an animal track and springs down on the first suitable victim
that is leopard behavior. That's interesting. Is this a drop bear? Is the tiger? Is the Queensland tiger a drop bear?
Passes underneath. The natives have told me that the tiger is capable of killing a large kangaroo and that it would not hesitate to attack even a man.
Oh, that's bright.
Should he happen to pass underneath the tree in which...
I know that the picture probably was that bright of a contrast, but you could like turn that down and not shock my eyes. That'd be cool.
The animal is waiting for prey. Denizens of the jungle.
Now it's definitely not thylacine behavior though, because thylacines are cursorial. They fill a niche, like they're more like a wolf or a coyote or a jackal. Well, they live probably more like a coyote or a jackal though, because they only lived in like little close-knit family groups or that were completely solitary.
The mystery animal inhabits the dense northern jungles and wild rocky ranges and has been seen on many occasions in the jungle-covered mountain ranges of Cape York Peninsula of northern Queensland. In such rugged country, impenetrable to anyone not armed with a chopping knife, the tiger, which is a sly nocturnal animal...
Why are they showing such open country while they're talking about how dense it is, though? This looks like I could run through it without too much resistance, from this angle anyway. Lots of spacing between the trees.
can easily evade capture. Not even the Aborigines have been successful in capturing one of these rare animals, although on isolated occasions a tiger has been killed. Some years ago, 2 of the animals were shot while killing calves on a farm on the fringe of Cardwell jungle country, North Queensland. This fact was
Now that looks a little denser. Yeah.
recorded by Mr. B.S. Sheridan, a former
BS.
police magistrate.
Having the initials BS. BS Sheridan. And we're supposed to take this guy's word for it.
Recorded by Mr. B.S. Sheridan, a former police magistrate of Cardwell.
A cop. The BS Sheridan was a cop, y'all. So, remember, we're listening to what a cop's saying here.
Who was shown the tiger's skins. Will this mystery animal ever be captured? It undoubtedly will someday, for collectors will not rest until it is. Only recently, a specimen of another of the world's mystery animals was captured after scientists and collectors had been striving to obtain one for many years.
All right. Poll time. So what mystery animal is he talking about? Let's start a poll. What mystery animal discovery is being cited? That's what we're going to do. And we're going to do, let's see. We're going to do coelacanth, obviously. We're going to do gorilla. And we need at least 3. Let's do panda. A panda. And what other animal? Okapi, maybe? Okapi. Yeah, we'll do 4. Okapi. So, what mystery animal is being cited here? I want you all to take the poll. And while you're taking the poll, I'm going to take a quick break to, again, go back and see if we've got any new subscribers for Jamie yet, because he's at 464, 465. One person went over and subscribed. So I'll wait right here. Take the poll, go over and give Jamie a sub, and then we'll get back into the video. This one's almost done. But this is like the longest one too. Well, the other here's a longer one. I don't know if we're gonna watch that or not, because it's, you know, we might. It's we'll see what the future holds. Obviously, we have the time constraints of the show. All right, so 30% say coelacanth, 30% say gorilla, 10% say panda, 30% say okapi. Do you think it's a tapioca weasel? Tapioca weasel never makes these streams because they're super early for him. But yeah, otherwise I would put him on the polls and stuff more. And Bigfoot, says Sumami. I doubt it's Bigfoot. We can't be Tasmanian tiger because that's the topic of the show. That's what he's comparing. He's saying what the guy was saying, and we can rewind it, was basically that, hey, who's to say this tiger doesn't exist? They found this animal, and he's about to reveal what the animal was. So we'll back it up just a little bit so we can hear it.
After scientists and collectors had been of the world's mystery until it is. Only recently, a specimen of another of the world's mystery animals.
A specimen of another of the world's mystery animals.
Was captured after scientists and collectors had been striving to obtain one for many years.
Was captured after scientists and collectors had been striving to obtain one over many years.
This is the giant panda.
Giant panda. Giant panda. Okay. Who had giant panda? Let's end the poll because I don't want to sway the results one way or the other. Only, it looks like panda had the lowest number of votes. It looks like that, so that would be just one vote for panda, I believe. Yeah. Who won? Somebody won. Somebody actually won. An individual. Jason, was that you? Congratulations. Please accept this award on behalf of the Hive. And yeah, thank you for playing along. Here you go.
A bear cat of the Chinese mountains. For hundreds of years, this
A
strange
bearcat.
animal remained uncaptured. But last year, the first specimen, a baby, was captured alive and taken to the New York Museum. The end. That's pretty interesting, this. I'm assuming these are thylacoleos, not thylacines, mainly because when they were describing it, even though they said it was like a common native cat but larger, and they said it was a yellowish or fawn colour and striped like a tiger. The Aborigines say it's as fierce as a young tiger, and they even scared.
I would love for Thylacoleo to still exist. I guess we need to look at what Thylacoleo is. So Thylacoleo is what they sometimes call the marsupial lion. Thylacoleo carnifex. Let's bring some info over so you guys can know kind of what it's looking like. All right, so Thylacoleo carnifex, the largest carnivorous Australian mammal known, may have hunted other Pleistocene megafauna like the giant Diprotodon. almost a Diptrodon. That's what I used to call it when I was a kid. Diprotodon. Thylacoleo was one of the first fossil mammals described by Australia, discovered not long after European settlement. It may have been an ambush predator or scavenger. It had enormous slicing cheek teeth, large stabbing incisors, replacements for the canine teeth in other carnivorous mammals, including other like dasyurnids and stuff. Well, this isn't even a dasyurnid. That's the thing. This isn't even the group of carnivorous. It's closer related to the Diprotodon. It's closer related to wombats and koalas than it is to dasyurnids, which is like thylacine and Tasmanian devils and quolls and the only extant carnivorous, or not the only, but the only largely extant carnivorous marsupials, the dasyurnids. But this wasn't one of them. This was something else completely. This was like a giant predatory koala. So, a drop bear, needless to say, a drop bear. Thylacoleo carnifex is the last and largest member of the Thylacoleonidae, the marsupial lions. Distinguishing features of the Thylacoleonids include enlarged cheek teeth and third premolars that formed long shearing blades. These were developed at the expense of posterior molar teeth, which were either reduced in size or absent. Thylacoleo carnifex had a wide, heavy, short-snouted skull with a bony bar, postorbital bar, as in primates, behind the orbits. It has the longest shearing tooth of any Thylacoleonid, as well as large serrated canine-like upper incisors and horizontally oriented lower incisors, replacements for the canine teeth of other carnivorous mammals. Thylacoleo also had an enlarged thumb claw encased in a sheath like a cat. Yeah, it may have been used to disembowel prey. This is insane. Killer koalas. Let's look at this more. The limb portions of Thylacoleo suggest that it was a cursorial adapted for running, but not swift. Forelimb proportions are similar to those of some arboreal or saltatorial animals. Its clawed forelimbs may have been used to reach out and bring food towards its mouth. Its pseudo-opposable thumb suggests that Thylacoleo may have been able to at least partly scansorial adapted for climbing. Western Australian and Tasmanian specimens are smaller than Eastern Australian specimens, and sexual dimorphism, where one sex is larger than the other, is reported. The weight of Thylacoleo is estimated to range from 90 to 160 kilograms. That's a huge animal. Huge animal. Aw. Your kitties adapted for your kitties apparently are adapted well for the outback. Is Butters a Thylacoleo? Maybe. Most of the sites where Thylacoleo fossils have been found are interpreted as dry, open forest habitat, the Darling Downs in Wellington, and Nara Kurte and Nullarbor Caves. Distribution: Thylacoleo carnifex was widely distributed across Australia during the Pleistocene. It has been found in all Australian states as well as the Northern Territory, including Darling Downs in Queensland, the Wellington Caves in New South Wales, and Nara Kurte Caves in South Australia, and Thylacoleo and Nullarbor Plain in West Australia. Feeding and diet. The diet of Thylacoleo has been subject to much debate, described as a carnivorous bone crusher, as a scavenger, or perhaps even an herbivore. It was first described by Sir Richard Owens, yes, that's Sir Richard Owens, as one of the fellest and most destructive predatory beasts. Its unusual teeth and herbivorous ancestry, however, prompted further suggestions, including crocodile eggs, carrion, meat, and bone marrow. The suggested diet, raising the most eyebrows, however, is that cycad nuts or native cucumbers, dubbed the melon muncher hypothesis. That's like what the creationists say about like T-Rex. So before the flood, when all the animals were herbivores, T-Rex used its big teeth to crush melons. And the pre-diluvian lions is what we're going to call them. AR pre-diluvian, not pre-deluge. Not pre. We'll do antediluvian lions. Yeah, that had square teeth. Where were we? We did the feeding. We talked about the nut. Okay, paleontologist Robert Broom had earlier pointed out that since Thylacoleo had no grinding teeth to process plant matter, it could not have included much plant food in its diet. Most scientists today believe that Thylacoleo was carnivorous. Its teeth seem clearly designed for slicing flesh, and its powerful forearms and large retractable thumb claws suggest a fierce, powerful predator. A study of the skull and jaws found that Thylacoleo had the head shape typical of carnivores, similar to the skull of other carnivores except for the reduced canines. The use of the incisors as stabbing teeth and co-opting of the premolars rather than the molars as a carcinal tooth, a tooth specialized in carnivory, further studies on the bite strength find that Thylacoleo had the most powerful bite of any mammalian predator, living or extinct, and could have taken prey much larger than itself, such as subadult Diprotodon. Life cycle. Little has been found in the fossil record to give us direct information about the life cycle or lifestyle of Thylacoleo. However, 3 individuals in Moree, New South Wales, shed some light on the raising of young. An adult female. Why does it say that twice? That's weird. Make sure that I'm not misreading this. An adult, female adult, with a very young baby, pouch young, and a second older juvenile, young at foot, were found associated, almost certainly a family group. The adult is represented by a complete skeleton, the baby by an incomplete lower jaw, and the juvenile by a skull, all held in the fossil collection of the Australian Museum. Fossil description. Well, yeah, we're about done here. Okay, we'll finish this up. For about 100 years after its discovery, Thylacoleo carnifex was known only from fragmentary remains, teeth, partial skulls, and jaws, and some postcranial fossils, which is, things not associated with the skull. The first complete skull of Thylacoleo was described in 1956, and the first near complete skeleton lacking a foot and tail was found in Moree, New South Wales in 1966, the mother and young described above. Much material has been recovered from Narakurte Cave in South Australia, and several complete individuals have been discovered in Thylacoleo Cave on the Nullarbor Plain in West Australia. Evolutionary relationships. Most paleontologists think that the ancestor of Thylacoleonids were herbivorous, an unusual occurrence since most carnivores evolved from other carnivorous lineages. One proposal suggests that Thylacoleonids evolved from a possum ancestor, Phalangiroidea, based on the dental formation or dental formula. The skull of the cuscus, Phalanger, and on a phalangerid-like musculature. Alternative evidence from certain skulls features show that Thylacoleonids branched off from Vombatiformi line, the lineage that includes wombats and koalas. Yeah, which is the current belief on that. All right, let's get back to Jamie. Jamie, are you still with us? Jamie, are you coming in clear?
About more than crocodiles, but they said when it's seeking its prey, it climbs the tree overhanging an animal track and springs down on the first victim. And they said even that it killed large kangaroos and even men. It's really interesting because that to me sounds like a thylacoleo more than a thylacine. They're saying it's sly and nocturnal and can easily evade capture. And then some years ago, 2 were shot while killing calves on a farm at Cardwell, North Queensland. And a former police magistrate, Mr. B.S. Sheridan, was shown the tiger skins to prove that they were tigers. So I'd love to know whether they're thylacoleos or thylacines. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.
Bye. He'll be back in just a second.
G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome
G'day.
to Tantanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper article about thylacines and thylacoleos in far north Queensland in the early 1900s, so we'll get into it. This was published in the Queenslander on Saturday, the 14th of April.
So Jamie's going to read to us from the Queenslander, and I'm going to go grab some
1923.
Some Tylenol.
Titled,
I got a
Nature
bit of a
Study,
headache creeping on.
The Elusive Tiger. Does it exist? Does this supposed tiger really exist in those faraway ranges in the Daintree and Palmer River district? Since we made the announcement that a scientific expedition from the south had passed through Brisbane on the way to Cooktown to conduct an investigation, much interest has been aroused, and the existence or non-existence of the animal has been frequently discussed by those who know the districts well. We are assured by a well-known Brisbane authority who knows the Daintree country thoroughly that he believes that the tiger certainly exists, or rather that it did, within at all events quite recent years, and he suggests that it was closely allied to the Tasmanian or marsupial wolf, which is still found in the roughest parts of Tasmania.
For?
Though this gentleman never had the
all the way in here
opportunity
before I
of seeing
sloshed
one
it over the
himself,
edge.
he assured...
Sorry, Jamie. I just need a second to rant at my hive here. Made it all the way in here trying to hustle with my coffee, because I refreshed my coffee while I was out there, and made it all the way back to my desk and slosh. But yeah, I needed to take some of this because actually it feels like I have some sinus stuff backing up. Unfortunately, there's been some colds going around, and we are going to be dealing with seasonal stuff too, because things start blooming here pretty early.
Assures us that the Aborigines frequently describe the animal,
My
and
hair
from
keeps
their
getting on my face, it's driving
descriptions,
me
see it
crazy.
once associated with the Tasmanian wolf, commonly called the tiger because of the blackish-brown transverse stripes across the back. Mr. W. Llewellyn Puxley, an English naturalist, in a book published in February of this year entitled Wanderings in the Queensland.
There's plenty of streams out there of me getting sloshed live, Ember. Not usually on my channel though. Usually on somebody else's channel, or somebody on Gur's channel.
And Bush says that the bones of the marsupial lion have been discovered in the fluviatile deposits on the Darling Downs. And from the number of those remains found close together, it would appear that they were overwhelmed by some sudden drying of the ground in some such way that these extinct animals may have perished. A great controversy, however, is at present raging over the remains.
I too love Shoebill Stork's native atheist.
Professor Owen takes a view.
Do you want to do Shoebill Storks for Breeze Bestiary? We could probably cover that.
The teeth show that they are intended to hold struggling prey. Professor Flower, on the other hand, holds a different view. However that may be, several species of marsupials have developed in the carnivora in the course of ages, though remaining marsupials.
To be clear, you don't develop into carnivora. Carnivora is an order of placental mammals that includes caniforms and feliforms, respectively. I think that he just means carnivorous animals or carnivorous lifestyle converging on a carnivorous body plan, on a carnivoran body plan.
Marsupials. One of these, the most interesting, is the Tasmanian wolf, which is on the verge of extinction, being confined to a small district in the interior of Tasmania. He adds that the nearest surviving relative of the thylacine is the Tasmanian devil, which, although plentiful in places, is nearing extinction also. This animal possesses a temper, says Mr. Lassouf, which has given its name, because it resents even being looked at. Both these animals, he says, are related to
feels sometimes. Some days. Yeah, when I'm like not all dolled up and stuff, I resent being looked at. I hiss and recoil back into the darkness. I'm like, no, don't see me not. That's what Gary Oldman's Dracula said. See me not. And he says, see me now. And he bangs Winona Ryder and that blonde chick, or she was kind of blonde, Lucy, the character playing Lucy. That scene, that monster fucker scene in that movie, and Francis Ford Coppola presents Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah, that movie's great. Super cheesy, but like in the right way.
To the native cats. Mr. W.H. Dudley Lassouf, director of the Melbourne Zoological Gardens, in his book The Animals of Australia, gives illustrations of both the Tasmanian wolf and the Tasmanian devil, and says, there are persistent rumours amongst the natives of the existence of a large tiger cat, as large as a bulldog, with brindled fur and very large eyes, which is said to spring on the tree kangaroo and crush the skull in its powerful jaws. The Aborigines are very frightened of it, and they say it does not hesitate to attack a man and often kills their dogs. Seeing that the boongarry or tree kangaroo was only made known to science in 1882, it is not improbable that a new carnivore will yet be discovered in the same wild region.
That does make sense that there'd be something that like filled like a Fusa type lifestyle for the thylacine.
Mr. Lassouf described,
or not thylacine, for the tree kangaroos, because they kind of feel like a lemur like niche in these tropical jungles of northeastern Australia and New Guinea. So them having a tree adapted predator does make sense. It does, but I mean, so far goose egg, right?
describing the Tasmanian wolves, says that they lie quietly during the day in caves and at night come forth to hunt their prey. They have great scent, but not any great speed, and prefer to spring upon unsuspecting prey, whether the settlers' sheep or native wallabies. He adds that some 20 years ago, the price of a tiger in Tasmania was only $5.
Our dying son, your name reminds me, I got in a Facebook debate some years ago with someone who wrote a book called Our Dying Son. And they sent me a copy of it to read. It was a young earth creationist book. And I started reading it, but I lost it in the various moves and stuff. You aren't that same guy, are you? I don't know if you are or not, but
Pounds. The end. Well, that's really interesting. I think these are thylacoleos in North Queensland. Just by the description of it, the one that they said that the persistent rumours of natives of the existence of a large tiger cat as large as a bulldog, which is like a bull Arab dog, brindled fur, large eyes, and springs on tree kangaroos. So you've got to be up in a tree for that, which does not sound like a thylacine. Sounds like a thylacoleo. And it crushes the skull of the tree kangaroo with its powerful jaws. The Aborigines are frightened of it, and they say it does not hesitate to attack a man and often kills their...
thylacines were cursorial, and the thylacoleo was semi-arboreal. There's also a band, but I remember that book, and I am not. Okay. Creationism sucks. Yeah. The new Nosferatu was okay. I laughed when it showed his little legs at the end. I heard it was really good.
Dogs, which sounds to me more like a thylacoleo than a thylacine. All really interesting stuff. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tantanoola Tigers. Today,
welcome to Tantanoola Tigers, love. Good to have you here. It's great to see you all. Thank you for coming by.
Hey, I'm reading an old...
I'm practicing my Australian accent. Mark Reed's gonna get totally mad at me. I said totally. That's not a word. Totally. I don't know how they say totally. I guess I don't say totally a lot in Australia. I like the names, though. Look at this name up here. Toowoomba.
Newspaper article about thylacoleo sightings at Springbrook on the Gold Coast hinterland, Queensland, in the early 1900s. So we'll get into it. This was published in the Queenslander on Saturday, the 14th of April, 1923, titled On Springbrook by Professor S.B.J. Skirchley. I am glad someone is in earnest going to probe the truth.
Really? I think he has a lot of character in his voice. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. He sounds like he's trying to be consistent with his voice. But yeah, that's just my opinion. That's why I like this channel. That's why I'm trying to get him up to 500. I don't agree with a lot of like the conclusions that he's drawn. Like, oh, this is a thylacoleo sighting and things like that. But what I do appreciate is the archiving of all these sightings in individual videos. It's great, in my opinion, my humble opinion as a cryptozoologist.
Of the belief in the existence of a large tiger cat in Queensland than as yet gladdened scientific eyes. Not having enjoyed the privilege of being museum bred and only being a wanderer of the wilds, I have always paid respectful attention to the accounts given to me of strange creatures by intelligent men who relate what they have seen and heard in their long experience.
And that's fair. There's people that I like that a lot of other people don't like. Like, I like Chills, and a lot of people don't like Chills' voice, so we don't cover Chills on this channel anymore because people are like, no, I can't deal with that. Fair enough. I can speed it up for sure, but I don't know if it's gonna speed up the whole playlist or not. Let's see.
Experience of the byways of our land. As my contribution, here is an extract from one of my 1913 notebooks. Near Mount Nimble, there is a gorge just below a precipice in Springbrook, which the Aborigines would not enter as there was a big tiger cat, large as a big dog, and would kill man or dog. No living Aborigine had seen it, but their fathers had told them of it. Can this be a reminiscence of thylacoleo, or more probably the Tasmanian devil? It is described as having great teeth. The Aborigines used to try and kill it by enticing it out by taking a dog and making it howl, but it always got away. Anyhow, they were never successful. James Fergus and Timbergetter reported this to the late Mr. E. Cooper, who told me. Here is another extract from the same book. About the year 1906, a big tiger cat took a...
My Chills impression is amazing. I have to say Burger King foot lettuce in my head over and over again to find it. Burger King foot lettuce. But yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you guys. You guys tell me what you like. I like this channel, but if you guys don't like it, we can find a different channel that covers thylacine and Australian creatures and stuff like that, and that's fine. It sounds immediately normal. Yeah, I'm used to watching. Like when I review these things, I usually review them about 2 times speed. Sometimes it takes me a minute to get the vibe.
A lot of fowls from Mrs. Richter's at Nerang. It was as
I don't know what you're talking about, Sumami.
big as a terrier dog, and her dog would not tackle it. It was shot and was yellow with black spots. What became of the skin, Mr. E.J. Cooper, my informant, does not know. I have just asked him about it, and he said, if these good people like to go to Springbrook, they may get one. When I was up there 2 years ago, Ben Gillespie, a fine bushman, pointed out to me a log on which he...
How many fine bushmen do we have in the audience today? Let's do a survey. Survey time. Are you a fine bushman? Let's see.
saw one sitting a few days previously. He saw it several times. My wonderful timber-getting Fred Jack Duncan, who pretty well lived with the Aborigines as a boy, has told me much of the beast, though even he, who has spent all his life in our mountain scrub, never saw one. I'd like you to hear him sing an original song, full of Aboriginal words, round a fire on a cold night. Here's one of my richest loads for Aboriginal...
Yeah, here's some constructive criticism from my Hive, Jamie, is the background track, maybe drop it down about maybe to 3/4 of the volume you have it at right now.
Law and language. All gone now, but I must cry, belay the end. Now that's really interesting. I wonder what they're seeing. Are they seeing thylacoleos or something else? They keep calling them large tiger cats, and tiger cats are quolls. But the sizes they're talking about and the ferocity and anger of these animals is really weird. Like the one on Springbrook near the Mount Nimble, they said
a quoll is going to be completely... Again, quolls are dasyurids, right? Which are the Australian predators. Where thylacoleo, again, is a vombatiform.
So. Tiger cat there, as large as a big dog. Well, quolls don't get that big. And it'd kill a man or a dog, which that doesn't sound like a quoll to me. It sounds like a thylacoleo. They described it as having great teeth, and the Aborigines used to try and kill it by enticing it out by taking a dog and making it howl, but it always seemed to get away. And then in 1906, a big tiger cat took a lot of fowls by Mrs. Richter's at Nerang, and they said it was as big as a terrier.
Look at them fine bushmen. My audience right now, with 11 votes, we are 55% fine bushmen. Yeah.
Dog. I'd love to know what kind of terrier they're talking about. But her dog wouldn't tackle it, and it was shot, and it was yellow with black spots, which is interesting. I'd love to know whether they're seeing thylacoleos or just really super large quolls. But I get that on the quoll thing, as quolls don't get that big.
I think Australian bushmen were they're not a hairy people. I mean, that was the old timey word for the Aboriginals, the Bushmen. So, I mean, they weren't a hairy people necessarily.
Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to this all next time. Bye. G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tandanoola Tigers. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper article about thylacine or thylacoleo or even big cat sightings in far north Queensland in the early 1900s. So we'll get into it. This was published in the Johnston River Advocate and in...
I assume that since they show all these logger pictures that these reports were made, a lot of them were made by loggers, presumably.
Fail News on Friday, the 31st of October, 1930, titled, As It Is Here, More Too. Writing in the Sydney Bulletin, Polycarp says, North Queensland has a mystery animal, the striped tiger cat or marsupial tiger. The scientists have accepted its existence, but are not sure that the creature is a marsupial. No museum as yet possesses a skin or skeleton, but the big cat with tiger-like stripes instead of spots is well known. Wilkins kept an eye out for a specimen.
How is it well known if it hasn't been discovered by science? Come on now.
During his trip around the Little Known Peninsula, but failed. The Aborigines and many old-timers know the animal well. The late Bill McCard brought the first one under public notice at Scrubby Creek near Herberton, but in those days, no one thought of preserving the remains.
Oh, don't report my poll, John. John made meatball marinara subs yesterday. They look delish.
Kill a full-size kangaroo and has been known to pull down calves. The animal referred to is not the only strange creature seen in the far north. Some men have seen more varieties of snake than were ever at large, and later and have also seen a new species of bat, known as the dingbat. Of course, it costs more to see these weird creatures.
The dingbat. Oh my gosh, we have to look into that and find out what it is.
Than the price of admission to a zoo. The end.
We don't want no scrubs, anarchic fox. No scrubs. A scrub is a guy who can't get no love from me. Hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride. Trying to holler at me. Yeah, they say me. They rhymed me with me there. TLC did.
That's really interesting. So
it's true, they did.
Lots of people are seeing either big cats or thylacines or thylacoleos, as they call them, striped tiger cats or marsupial tigers. They say scientists have accepted its existence, which no, they haven't, and they're not sure whether it's is a marsupial or not. They say it's well known for having tiger-like stripes instead of spots. The Aborigines all know about them, and many old-timers do too. Mr. Bill McCord shot one at Scrubby Creek near Herberton, and I've read about this, and I'll find a newspaper article about this shortly. They brought it into the pub and had it on display at the pub at Herberton, and like in those days, no one thought of preserving the remains, but with the weather in North Queensland, it got
half dingo, half bat,
and they got rid of it.
Half dingo, half bat. Of course, there's a dingbat.
Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye. G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Tantanoola Tigers.
All right, this will be the last one.
An old newspaper report about a big cat or thylacoleo sighting at Beaudesert, Queensland in 1908. So we'll get into it. This article was published in Brisbane's The Telegraph on Monday, the 24th of August, 1908, titled Beaudesert Lion, Young Man's Story, What He Says He Saw. The Tantanoola Tiger Scare, or something equally silly, has arisen in the Beaudesert district. For a young man, 19 years of age, and presumably of sound mind, has poured in the ears of the police a thrilling tale of woe. Whether he had been reading the account of some of the escapes of Celos from the wild beast is unknown, but his story appears to be the result of some terrible nightmare. He declares that on Sunday evening, 16th of August, he was riding to his father's house, when suddenly his horse took fright near a paling fence. He was horror-stricken when he saw a crouching beast with glaring eyes in the act of springing. The beast sprang at him, or so runs his story to the police, but it missed its object because of the prancing of the horse. But its teeth snapped like the steel jaws of a fox trap as the mysterious something leaped through the air. Foiled
a mysterious something. The most mysterious of things are always a something.
This attempt, it growled like a lion and again crouched, anticipating of springing. By this time, the young man, who bears the name of a distinguished statesman, evidently thought he had inspected it sufficiently. He put spurs to his horse and galloped through the bush towards his father's home. The lion, for such he says it was, forgetful of its habit never to give chase under such circumstances, followed him for a quarter of a mile. Time after time, he says the animal, as it raced beside him, sprang through the air. When he reached home, he collapsed on a sofa, and the horse is said to have hidden itself under a bush or a sheet of bark, or something equally unsafe. Then came along another young man, who said that he had seen a bear or a tiger asleep on the roadside.
So, they can give a very good description of it, just that he thought it was a lion. And I mean, there were people who brought exotic cats to Australia. I believe there was, even the Australian military had a mountain lion mascot, one of their units did.
Under police examination, however, the latter young man admitted that what he saw might have been a log. Sergeant Keering made a thorough examination of the place after he had been acquainted with the facts of the thrilling encounter, but he has reported that the only tracks he could find were those of a galloping horse. Of course, the police department discredit the story, just as they discredited the existence of the Baron Jack Bunyip, the Tantanoola tiger and the Grafton tiger. At all events, Beaudesert might be added to the list of places which cherish bunyips and tigers and other explainable
bunyips
things.
Bunyips and tigers.
Well, this is really interesting.
Bunyips and tigers and drop bears, oh my. Bunyips and tigers and drop bears, oh my.
Know what he's seen, whether he's seen an African lion or a thylacoleo. He just called it a lion. So he's riding to his father's house, and his horse got scared, and then he saw it crouching beside a fence with glaring eyes, and it sprang at him and missed, and he said its teeth snapped like steel jaws of a foxtrap, and it leapt through the air and growled like a lion. So he took off. He didn't want to be there, and he took off at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And the lion followed him for a quarter of a mile. And he says time after time it raced beside him and sprang through the air. That's really scary. That would have been freaky as, but I would have loved to have seen it. And then another young man was walking along.
Do you think Thylacoleo would have preyed on emu? Maybe, especially small emu, probably would have been a prey item.
And he said he saw on the side of the road either a bear or a tiger or asleep on the roadside. So I'd like to know what's going on there. But I'd love to know whether he saw like an African lioness maybe, or a panther or something, or a thylacoleo. All interesting stuff. Okay, that's it for me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.
All right, we're going to stop it there, even though we're not through the full playlist. How far did we make it? We made it to 6 out of 10. So, not bad. Not bad. We got time to move along, though. And the rest of these from here on out, we may have to come back and do a part 2 on this. I did not expect this to take the full hour, but it sure did. I was worried that I didn't have enough content. That's actually why I went and read all this about thylacoleo. Also, I want you all to know what thylacoleo is and what it looks like. There's some pretty cool reconstructions out there. This one's pretty nifty. And that one's pretty cool there. Kind of just showing you what its head would look like. Its front and sides give it kind of a bunny-like impression when you look at its skull. Kind of funny. I don't know why I keep yawning. Goodness gracious. I'll need a nap after the show. All right, so what do you think of the Queensland tiger sightings? Did the people see a thylacine, an escaped exotic big cat? Did they see a long extinct thylacoleo? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow for Live from the Hive. So please remember to take care and be kind, and we'll see you next time.